On October 27th of 2021, a user named Carl92 posted a 17-second clip of a mystery song to the song identification website, What's That Song? He described it as mid-80s, bad quality. Everyone knows that. Here's the clip. Was that the sound of a guy munching on a potato chip in the middle of that? Anyway, hundreds of songs like this get posted to that site every day, and like most of them, this one went relatively unnoticed, at least at first. A few years later, this small clip basically becomes the actual most mysterious song on the internet, and it seemed like every few months it would receive a new burst of popularity in increasingly large waves. I start getting tons of messages about it, a subreddit gets made, and there's also a bunch of social media accounts now dedicated to the search. There's even a physical poster with a QR code. Like a lot of lost media searches, this one was a roller coaster of bad leads, false hope, and deception. But it was one that would eventually get solved, in perhaps the most bizarre way that one ever has and ever will. So for today's video, let's take a look at Everyone Knows That. This video is sponsored by Helix. Helix makes premium mattresses and bedding, custom fit to your needs and shipped right to your door. Everyone sleeps differently, so Helix has you take a sleep quiz to match your body type and sleep preferences. I'm a side sleeper, so Helix set me up with a Sunset mattress. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including their award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections, the Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress, designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep and medical experts. Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. It comes rolled up in a box and it's easy to set up. And to make sure you love your Helix mattress, they have a 100 nights of sleep trial. You also get a 10-year warranty as well as financing options and flexible payment plans. And Helix mattresses are fiberglass free. I've been sleeping on Helix mattresses now for a few years, and it's some of the best sleep I've gotten. And the Glaciotex upgrade that I got ensures that I stay cool when I sleep. I love my Helix mattress and I think you will too. If you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. Their Memorial Day sale is running now through May 30th, and it's a great time to upgrade your mattress. You can get 30% off an Elite or Luxe mattress, plus 2 free pillows, or take advantage of 25% off site-wide. Check out the Helix site for more details. This was a topic that I'd get tons of requests for over the years, and I kinda just kept delaying it because every time I started to work on it, I would get caught up on a different topic. Honestly, I'm kinda glad that I waited though. One of my YouTube friends actually just told me he finished a video on why the song will never be found, which obviously he can't put out now. That could have been me. But now that it's been solved, it's become once again one of the most requested topics for the channel. So let's finally get into it. Back to the beginning. October 2021, Carl92 makes his post looking for the song. To me, this immediately sounds like something 80s, maybe early 90s. But I picture it in a very specific context. Like I'm picturing a commercial or maybe a TV show where they have a band that's in the show or commercial and they're characters. It's diegetic sound, like I'm picturing California Dreams or something like that. If you've been following this story though, you know just how wrong that is. The day after Carl posted it, a user named Burst asked for a longer sample. Carl replied, "Thanks. Sorry, that's all I have." I don't remember its origin. I rediscovered this sample between a bunch of very old files in a DVD backup. Probably I was simply learning how to capture audio and this was a leftover. The thing is, it sounds somewhat familiar to me, or maybe I'm mistaken with a similar song. And though it wasn't going to be a too obscure one. I tried in www.ahamusic.com and also tried searching the lyrics, but my English is not good enough for that. I only understand something like, "Everyone knows that. You can't blank tell me the truth." Another user suggested this could be 90s or 2000s, and in that context, I can picture it being kind of like a boy band song or something. And there were so many of those groups that were made and never went anywhere. Carl replied that the file was dated as 1999, and he would personally guess that the song was from the 80s. When asked about the other files he has in this collection, he replied that they weren't related to this song at all. And when he was asked about radio stations, he said that he's from Spain, and it does sound like something that might have played on the radio there, but he doesn't remember its origin. A claim that many would come to doubt since the song's discovery, but we'll get to that later. Things start to get interesting when a user named Null4286 interprets the lyrics themselves. "You can't only shoot in the stars, colors in the world are bright, everyone knows that, you've got ulterior motives. Tell me the truth, everyone should know. This interpretation of the lyrics makes people wonder whether or not the song could be entitled Ulterior Motives. A user named 7BelowCipher found an album called Comic Book Page by The Cost of Living made in 1989. It contains a song called Ulterior Motives, but at the time there were no audio clips he could find. Later on, a user named Fatman69 would find the track on Soulseek, and it wasn't even close to the same style. Carl would ultimately disappear from What's That Song altogether, as the search sat in relative obscurity. But about a month after Carl had disappeared in early 2022, JK had uploaded it to their Lost Music channel, which, if you recall from my last video about the Brazilian song Find My Mind, the channel was since taken down by copyright trolls. It was actually this YouTube uploaded that introduced the image of a pink boombox that would become synonymous with the search itself. And this boombox would actually become somewhat of a mystery itself. People tried to identify it and eventually found their own. It's the Next Play Glitz and Glitter boombox, which seems to go for around $350 these days. Jay noted that this song in particular was one of the more popular uploads recently on the channel, and I can understand why. It's not just that it's a catchy song, it has that kind of familiar sound where you just feel like you've heard it before. And indeed, in those early days of the search, people would show the song to older relatives who were like, oh yeah, I heard this on the radio back then. An early breakthrough, and something that's funny to think about knowing what we know now, came when a user named Niski analyzed the audio spectrum on the song and discovered a consistent 15.734 kHz tone. This tone at the time was present in multi-channel television sound broadcasts in certain NTSC format countries, so the clip was almost certainly recorded off of a TV. Although it has different implications now, this reinforced the idea that it could be from a commercial or a TV show, or maybe even a music video. Of course, Spain uses PAL, not NTSC. Maybe Carl moved at some point, maybe he recorded this while he was on vacation, maybe someone else sent it to him. Doesn't matter, he's gone now. The song would get a bit more momentum in July of 2022, when a user named ExcellentAd497 posted it to r/lostwave. Although they weren't the first person to post it there, this post got a ton of attention. In fact, it was the most popular post ever on the subreddit for a significant amount of time, and a lot of commenters initially had the same thought that I did, that this is from a commercial. I don't know what it is, like even though songs and commercials, they're meant to represent actual real music, there's just something about them a lot of time that they feel commercially. And this one kinda has that vibe. And a popular lead involving a specific commercial would come up in JK's comments. Of course, these comments are gone now because the channel is gone, but thankfully they're preserved in YouTuber Shay Valley's really good coverage of this mystery. A user named Bloodhound claimed that the song was from a late 90s car commercial, and a reply from a user named Yin asked if it was a commercial by Celine, and he said yes. Another user named Glitch Ghost replied with more information. My dad's best friend since childhood worked for a car manufacturer named Celine, from the people who brought you the uncle that works at Nintendo. From 1995 to 1998, I saw a previous comment mentioning the brand, so I asked him if he recognized the song. He said he remembers it, and remembers approving it for use in a commercial for a Celine Mustang partnership with McDonald's for their Big Win Monopoly promotion. He told me that the commercial was filmed and edited, but was never released on television. He said that it was a song suggested and selected by another employee who had a collection of songs that could have been used in advertisements. And he told me that he was trying to get in contact with the employee who suggested the song, whose name is Scott. I'll update later when I find out more. Glitch Ghost doesn't seem to have followed up, but Celine did indeed do a McDonald's Monopoly collab in 1997. But a What's That Song user named Kyle96 would contact Celine directly. They responded that they don't have a record of having used the song, but there is a possibility that it was produced in a commercial that they didn't make themselves, but had one of their cars in it. Although there was still some meat left on that bone, it was becoming clear this was most likely a wild goose chase. And ultimately, after the song was found, a Redditor named Lazy Example claimed that the Celine lead was a hoax of their own doing, just an offhand remark that they never expected to get that popular, but then the theory blew up when Shea Valley featured it. And this wouldn't be the only time that McDonald's came up in this search. You've also got the infamous Polish McDonald's hoax, posted by a now-deleted user named Alan2237. Hi mates, I'm from Poland, and I swear I heard this song on the in-store radio at McDonald's around 2012. At that time, McD in Poland played many unknown songs in his restaurants, stylized in the 80s, and maybe even originally recorded at that time. Believe it or not, I remember in this song the singer hummed a simple to the main melody played on the synthesizer/bells. I'm sure it happened, but I don't remember at what point. I have no idea where the song comes from, but I can 100% confirm that it is real. It's definitely not a famous song and wasn't when I heard it. It's something recorded for in-store music and commercials. I also posted another song of this type on YouTube, and the song and his link would later be identified as Same Side by Starar. About a month after this post, he would return claiming that he spoke to a friend who works at McDonald's in Poland. Their friend found out that their playlist was provided by a company named Mood Media, and it was a mix of two of their catalogs, Ear Candy and Vintage Era, which contained about 10,000 songs of this style. And indeed, articles confirm that since 2011, Mood Media has been providing the music for McDonald's in Poland. Now, with Alan's account deleted, a lot of this situation is gone. But thankfully, a poster named Cotton Underground archived and recalled some of the story. Alan would claim to have contacted Mood Media himself, and then they provided him with a log file of all of the music provided to McDonald's in Poland. And a lot of these songs were found to be real but very obscure songs. Additionally, some of the songs were from a company named Nichian Sounds Library, which was interesting as a lot of people theorized that the singer for this song had a Japanese accent. But there were some things suspicious about this list. Particularly, although the date on the file said 2012, some songs on the list would be identified as being from 2018. Then another user named Annabelle S&D would contact Mood Media herself. They told her that they keep no such log files, and also they don't share playlists with third parties. Furthermore, none of the songs found in this log file were in their catalog. Their representative sat on the phone with her for over an hour trying to identify songs and just nothing. Alan would come to her thread claiming that they emailed him this log file, but he deleted it because he routinely clears out his email. Which, I mean, come on man, nobody clears out their email. People weren't buying his story, so he deleted his whole account. But there were still some interesting things on that list, as Annabelle pointed out in her post. Obviously, OP's story doesn't add up, and is completely disproven by both the company itself and the list. But the list is way too niche to be fake. Songs like Nichian Sound Library Japan, My Old Blue Car, were actually Nichian Library songs at that time, but aren't anymore. This requires a lot of special inside niche knowledge to be fake, so this list isn't 10,000% useless, but I heavily doubt it will help us in the EKT search. As with any lost media case, there was a lot of trolling, but this was one of the most high-effort, time-wasting attempts, and the community would get extra vigilant about fighting off trolls. To the point where in one instance, a person who claimed to have heard the song in a 90s Flash game wound up deleting their account after doxing attempts and death threats. At which point, mods had to step in and say, hey, it's just a song. Relax. Of course, there were also some theories that the song was a troll in and of itself. Some thought that perhaps this was Carl92's own unfinished music, or maybe the song was AI generated, which I feel that some of the stuff I've heard in the past couple of weeks, like that song I Glued My Balls to My Butthole Again, at some point I could see it being feasible, but not in 2021. I know that's only a few years difference, but the technology progressed so fast in that period. And people have attempted extending the song with AI, and the results are just like, sounds like Little Nicky putting his fingers on the record player.
I command you in the name of Lucifer to spread the blood of the innocent.
Of course, just because something's AI doesn't mean it's not fake. But Carl did have another proven good faith use of the site in which he had a song identified that turned out to be Sinking Stone by Souvenir. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, but I don't think the evidence really ever pointed to the song being fake. Of course, the song being real and Carl being a troll aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, but we'll get to that later. Throughout the years, the search would get a lot of big surges in popularity. As far as I can tell, after Jay's video and Excellent Ads Reddit post, the next big surge comes in the summer of 2023. That's when I personally start to get a lot of emails and messages about it. And that's when the subreddit's made, as well as a number of other social media accounts dedicated to the search. And it was during this time that the biggest breakthrough to date was made. So one of the most common methods to try and find these lost songs is to go through song registration databases. But for a song like Everyone Knows That or Ulterior Motives, you're gonna get a lot of matches. But in August of 2023, a user named Hey Scarlet narrowed it down. Collectively, these titles got over 300 matches in the US database SongView. But Scarlet narrowed it down to between 1984 to 1988 based on the resemblance to other songs from that time period and the introduction of the multi-channel television sound frequency in 1984. This left just 4 songs entitled Ulterior Motives. 1. The Booth Brothers, Canadian, City Unknown, registered to the Canadian Society SOCAN. No personal or publisher information available. Searches on the Discogs database netted very scarce information, though matching names from the 80s did emerge, but in different genres. SOCAN, BMI, and Canadian label Unidisc were all contacted in regards to them. Corey Hart had a similar voice to that of the singer on the mystery track, and also similar guitar arrangements. And he was also Canadian. 2. Marcelo Romero, Philadelphia rock singer-songwriter who also played in New York. One of his former band's mailing addresses was contacted in relation to him. 3. Michael Barragan, LA rock musician who also played in Seattle. His publisher was contacted. 4. 3 R&B/funk/pop songwriters. 1. Preston Glass also worked in Philadelphia. He subsequently worked with Whitney Houston's producer, Narada Michael Walden. He was also based in the LA and NYC areas. Of the people contacted, only Preston Glass's publisher would respond. And in a follow-up post, Scarlett would notice that Christopher Booth's songwriter profile also had an alias, Christopher Saint. Ultimately, none of these people would respond to Scarlett, who began to think that the whole thing was just a hoax. Officially throwing in the towel in November with a post entitled, "Things Aren't Always As They Seem." When I joined this subreddit in August, I earnestly believed we could find EKT if we just searched hard enough. I sure did. I checked through hundreds of entries in the songwriters database, pursuing what I called the PRO lead. And I believe the diversity of our efforts proved the song is neither there nor there. It doesn't exist. The irony is incredible that this person, almost immediately after joining the search for the song, actually solved it. They just didn't know, and now they think it's a hoax. Around this time, there was another theory that was growing in popularity, that the song came from a porno. Although it was largely not taken seriously, there were a few people who were very into this idea. We had a post by Bonnie Clip who outlined their reasoning in October, and a user MyEKT account in January. If that were the case, maybe that could explain why Carl disappeared. He realized where he got it from, and he was like, oh, I'm out. Don't want people to know about my pornos. But also, there have been other Lost Wave songs found this way, and at that point, it hadn't been an avenue that was looked into that much. Time would pass, and the search would continue to gain a ton of momentum. As more articles were written, more videos were made, culminating in a big boom in February, with Kylie Bogley's video on the topic gaining 1.5 million views, and the song going viral on TikTok. With so many new eyes on this mystery, it was time to explore the unexplored. On April 22nd of 2024, a user named OneTruth5867 would make a post entitled, "Don't know where to look? Try these if you can." After a video store near him expanded its porno collection, he was inspired. At this point, people were tired of hearing about the porn theory, but he insisted that this vein was ripe for the picking, and nobody else was willing to do what had to be done. So, OneTruth spent a week watching porn. 65 movies in one night alone. And then, he comes across a film called Taboo 3. In Taboo 3, there's a concert scene with a band that sounds very similar to Carl's clip.
I'll be your friend, I'll be your man, I'll be yours till the end of time.
And in the YouTube upload, in the description, the music is credited to Chris and Phil Booth. And OneTruth remembered those names, because you see, user Taeyeon2 had added those names to the big master list of songs and artists. So, Christopher St. Booth has 86 composer credits to his name. OneTruth begins working through those movies. After 12 hours of watching 80s porno, he starts to get a little exhausted, so he asks for some help. A user named Southpaw Ball joins the Team Goon Sesh. The lads are watching pornos together, shooting messages back and forth, and then OneTruth steps away from the computer for a little bit. He comes back, and he's flooded with messages from Southpaw Ball. In the short 5 minutes that OneTruth had been away, he'd come across a scene in a 1986 film that Chris Booth worked on entitled Angels of Passion. And about 1 hour and 7 minutes into the movie, while a lady is getting dogged out in front of a giant Coca-Cola poster, there it is. There's that song that everyone's been looking for. Ulterior Motives by Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth. That potato chip sound, that was no potato chip. That was the sound of a big 80s bush getting splacked up. I can only imagine Southpaw Ball sitting at his desk in that moment, crying tears of joy at having been the first person to climb this mountain. Perhaps the biggest lost song in the history of the internet. All the while in the background, you got... Let me tell you, that 17-second clip that Carl92 posted, that was exactly the longest stretch of the song between moans. So he knew exactly where that came from. Perhaps he really liked the song and just didn't want people to know that it came from a porn movie, or maybe this was kind of a game to him all along. Like an ARG that leads you straight to Goatsy. So all the people who got laughed at for suggesting porn got to do their victory lap. You got memes about how Scarlett solved the mystery 8 months ago without realizing and then gave up. And you got people mad at Carl because if he had just admitted from the jump that it was from a porn, this would have been so much easier. You also had people wonder if OneTruth was Carl. Because I mean, yeah, he did dedicate an inhuman amount of time to watching porn for the music, but there's so many of these movies. What are the odds that he would just stumble across the big lead just through sheer force of will? He denied he was Carl. He said he's a 22-year-old from Canada and wasn't alive when this was made. And something else that got people's interest was that, strangely, the day before this discovery was made, there was a review written for this movie on IMDb. It even name drops Christopher St. Booth, citing him as the main reason for his interest in the film. Although at first people also thought this might have been one truth, this guy has over 19,000 reviews on IMDb, many of which are porns. So it's not a fake account made for the search, but that timing is just way too suspect. I mean, what are the odds? Nudo Rising, though, points out something sensible. That with this person being such a prolific connoisseur of adult films, maybe someone had actually contacted him about the search, and it made him think of this movie. In any case, the identity of the song may be found, but this isn't where the story ends. Because it's not like you can just sit around enjoying music that's like, is an incomplete version of the song with sex noises in the background. I mean, I remember getting annoyed back in the day when I would download obscure wrestling themes and it would have crowd noise in the background. This is 100 times worse. I mean, honestly, I'm not even fully comfortable listening to the intro of More Human Than Human. You gotta get the full song minus the sex noises. But Christopher St. Booth had actually been contacted a number of times throughout this search, and he never responded. Could it be that he was embarrassed to be associated with porn music? Or maybe he was dead? No, actually, as it turned out, he was quite active on social media. And later that day, after receiving a flood of messages and comments, and then he posts this on TikTok. Wow, mind is blown. Thank you. Shall we release it? After looking through their archives, the Booth brothers would find the original lyric sheet for the song. Chris posted it to his Instagram, and as it turns out, the line is actually, everyone knows it. Not everyone knows that. The brothers, who as it turns out are actually twins, would do an interview with Miles Klee for Rolling Stone. How did you find out? Christopher, we used to work for Sci-Fi Channel like 10 years, doing paranormal documentaries. And we did horror movies for Sony and stuff. We did a documentary called The Exorcist File, about the case that inspired the novel The Exorcist. And I was posting promo for that, then people started writing Release EKT, or Ulterior Motives. And I'm going, what's that? I didn't remember the song at all, that's 40 years ago. And then it got crazy. Someone sent me a link to your article about Lost Wave sleuths looking for the complete song. Then I heard of the song and I went, oh yeah, that's us. That's how we found out. Philip, I have to tell you, on a human level, it really brought deep emotion and tears to our eyes to see so many kids singing the song, saying how great the song was. There's just no better feeling as a musician to see such gratification for something. They discovered our names. Our phones started blowing up. Social media started blowing up. You know, we're not big TikTok followers. My daughter wrote me and said, Dad, I'm so proud of you. You're all over TikTok, and we're all singing the song. I thought, oh my god, what's happening? In the interview, they explained that the song wasn't originally intended to be porn music. They'd actually been making music together for a while, with their most successful project before being a band called Sweeney Todd. There wasn't a name for the project that Ulterior Motives was recorded for though. They just wrote a pop song. In fact, they had a whole album written of songs like this. At the time, they were working in the film industry. Not the adult film industry, the regular film industry, just as production assistants and whatnot. And a friend in the industry needed background music for porn. So they sold some of their music because that's one of the few ways a musician can actually make money. The song itself was actually written about a girl who cheated and lied about it. As for actually finding the full original recording, they're digging through 40 years of old tapes to try and find it. But if they can't find it, they're just gonna re-record it. Although as Chris tells Miles in the interview, I might have to squeeze my balls to sing that high now. They also laughed at some of the details of the search a little bit. We had some people on TikTok and YouTube dissecting it, filtering it. Christopher, yeah, apparently I'm a Japanese girl. As of me recording, they've yet to find the full original masters. But in the meantime, they are working on their remake as well as a full 80s album. And I know that's something that some people aren't going to be happy about, but honestly, what they've posted so far sounds really good. Just looking through Chris's music posts, this guy is a beast, and I can't wait to see what they put out. I have the utmost faith that whatever these guys put out is going to be worth it. But anyway, that's all for now. If you like this video, check out my videos on the other most mysterious song on the internet. Maybe we can finally get this thing solved. I'm out.